Hello everyone, it is Octa AFL and this is it. We have reached the halfway point of our Run Home Analysis series. Celebration! Woo! All jokes aside, today we're going to be doing Freo and Geelong, just like what we did with the Collingwood and Essendon video. I'll be basically just doing the exact same thing, but for two teams instead of one. So, let's get into our first team being Fremantle. So, Fremantle. Their run home goes, they play Melbourne at home, West Coast at home, Essendon away, Geelong at home, GWS away, and then Port Adelaide at home. So, an interesting run home that can ruin a lot of teams' hopes and dreams. That being Essendon, GWS, and Port Adelaide, and Melbourne. So, really, they have a lot of do-or-die clashes for the other teams, not for Freo. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they go under the pressure of all the other teams really needing to get the win. But all that aside, I reckon they'll beat Melbourne and West Coast. They'll lose to Essendon. They will beat Geelong, lose to GWS, and this is probably the hardest game of the their run home for me to predict, because it could so easily go both ways. They've had 2 losses and 3 wins, so it'll be enough to get them into the finals. But I think just because it's Port Adelaide, I think Port Adelaide will choke it and Fremantle will win. Putting them, in my mind, that puts them in the top 4. Knocking... Oh, this is interesting, because earlier today, I predicted Essendon in 5th position. Freo could also very easily go in that position. But I think they'll go in 4th position. And Geelong, we'll see. I think they could go to 6th, depending on their run home, which, from what I remember from an article I read a few days ago, is pretty hard. So, yeah. 4th place for the Dockers. They'd be playing Sydney in a qualifying final, and I know they've beaten them the last 2 times, but they're still going to lose. It's Sydney. They're not going to make the same mistake twice against the same team in the same season. And then they'll probably meet Essendon in a semi. Let me just quickly check the finals structure. Yeah, they would be meeting Essendon in the semi-finals. So, that being said, they'll win that. They'll make it to the prelim, and in said prelim Nation final. Just waiting for my final structure to load. There we go. So they win there. They win the semi against Essendon. They'd be playing either Carlton or Brisbane, I think, in a prelim, which in both of those occasions they definitely lose. There's no way I can see them beating Carlton or Brisbane. No offense to Fremantle fans. But that's it for Fremantle. Time to move on now to the Geelong Cats. So, now for Geelong. And earlier I said they had a very hard fixture. They play the Dogs, North Melbourne, Adelaide, Fremantle, St Kilda, and West Coast. They probably have the easiest run home of the bunch, which, yeah, that's unfortunate for me because I don't really have an option. But, yeah, I don't think I'm going to go with an actual ladder prediction. If 2 teams are probably going to make the same place, I'm going to put them in the same place, really. I might do a ladder prediction after I've done all this, like taking these videos into account. I might do a ladder prediction before the start of round 20, but you never know, maybe not. But anyway, Geelong, this is a pretty easy run home for them. I reckon they beat the Bulldogs. The Western Bulldogs came off a good win. That means they have to have a bad loss now. They lose to North Melbourne. It's at Hobart. I'll come back to that. That's actually difficult to choose. Beating Adelaide, losing to Freo, beating St Kilda, beating West Coast. Ooh, they play West Coast at GMHBA. That's going to be a brutal match. Yeah, I think they beat North Melbourne. I think they'll have one loss for the rest of the year. Putting them, actually, I think they'll go... I think they'll be like third. Maybe. Third or fourth. We'll go with third to make things more interesting because I'm really split on the matter. But now it's time to pull up my handy-dandy finals structure. So if they're third, they'd probably be playing Carlton in a qualifying final. So they would lose that, probably. Then they'd be playing one of 6th or 7th, which is where I think GWS could finish. And I don't know, something about GWS in the finals and also about GWS playing Geelong makes me think they're going to win that. But they'd have to win an elimination final against probably Essendon, even though I put them in 5th. Or Fremantle, really. That could happen as well. Which I think they would win. So Geelong would play GWS, and I feel like they'd lose to GWS. GWS are just a very good team in the finals and at the back end of the year, and they haven't lost for 2 weeks, so we'll see what they can do in the rest of the run home. If they go undefeated in the run home, they're definitely making it to a prelim, but who knows about GWS. If they have another form slump, they're probably missing out on the 8 or just making finals and losing finals. Anyway, that's enough about GWS. I think Geelong will either lose in the semi if they're playing GWS, or if they're playing someone else, win in the semi and lose in the prelim to Sydney. So, that is Geelong and Fremantle both covered in the same video. Shocking. But yeah, that marks the halfway point of this series. Next week, I'm not sure if I'll do double-ups again. One of the reasons I'm doing them is I'm very short on time. But whatever happens, the next video in this series will be about the Gold Coast Suns. And then we'll do GWS, Hawthorn, Melbourne, and then the rest of the teams that are still in contention, which I definitely remember all of them right now. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you all in the next one, which will probably come out Monday or Tuesday around the same time as my tipping video. But anyway, I will see you later.